friends. Welcome back to another episode of the Findaway podcast with Dusty. Hopefully you're doing well on your journey. Hope to take this episode to provide a little bit of encouragement on your journey. Recently, I've been watching a lot of content creators online, and the real source of their inspiration comes from the trips that they make, the workouts that they do, the places they get to go. I think a real big thing right now is called High Rocks. Which is pretty big. There are folks that are doing running ventures across the world and across the country. There are just so many of these amazing influencers doing really big things, and you know them because they've got at least 250,000 followers, if not millions of dollars, and they are what is leading the industry as far as inspiration. You know, there are so many folks that look at them as an inspiration, look up to them for a piece of motivation, and they absolutely can be a point or a person of motivation. But it just strikes me that a lot of these individuals, their full-time job is creating that content. A lot of these influencers, especially the young ones, especially in the running culture, a lot of them don't have kids. A lot of them aren't married. A lot of them don't have your standard 9 to 5. And all of those things are really, really key factors in what makes it very difficult for a lot of us to stay consistent. You think about being married and going on a journey. What if your spouse is not with you and aligns with you as far as your goal for your journey? The entire household has to change when you want to prioritize your health. What if your particular situation with being married, your spouse is an enabler, and you just kind of pushing aside the discipline of prioritizing your health? You think about kids. I myself have 2 kids, 4 and 2, and they are absolutely a handful. And my wife's killing it. And I, at the times that I don't have work and on weekends when I spend time with them, they are just so much. They are in a constant state of learning, growing, stretching, exploring. Can I do this? I can't do this. Well, how far can I do this? And they require so much, especially, kids under 5 require so much of your attention that if you've got kids, it is extremely difficult to stay consistent because their schedules are never consistent. You think about a 9 to 5. The amount of content that these influencers are popping out is because between 9 and 5, they've got a lot of time to think of, generate, film, and do a lot of these things that, folks with a 9 to 5 job just don't have the time to do. And so I think about all these things, but then I see how much and how it sparks such an inspiration for so many that some perspective, I believe, is really, really needed in this space. That if you are someone that is married, if you are someone that has kids, and if you are someone that has a 9 to 5, you've really got to grade yourself on a whole different level of getting it done. Like, man, that influencer, I wish I could be on their level. If you're putting in the work, if you're showing up, they're at a 3-hour workout and they're doing something this and something that. You put in 30 minutes, like your 9 to 5 married with kids life, 30 minutes is the equivalency of a 3-hour workout from said influencer. And the perspective of you, especially married kids, 9 to 5, you don't have the flexibility to get it done, yet you're getting it done. And so it's just a shout out and a pat on the back that if you're in that situation, and it doesn't have to be all 3. It could be, I'm married and there's a struggle there, finding a common ground. You could just have kids. You could just have a 9 to 5. There's a number of things that could just be, but it still is a completely different scenario from anybody else trying to say that they're outworking, like, I'm going to outwork everyone. Absolutely you will, because you have time to train. Like, that's your full-time gig, to train and to work out and to create content and do all this. Like, it's not that that's bad. You pursue that. You're one of the lucky few that get that. You roll with it. But this is rather not a downing of the folks that can, but it's an encouragement for those that can't and feel that they are not as, you're not at that level. 30 minutes of a married or a 9-to-5er or somebody with kids is equivalent to a 2 or 3 hour workout, extreme workout gig that you see inspire so many people. Like, that's what it is. And so be proud of your accomplishment. Be proud of what you're putting together. If you are putting 20 minutes here, 10 minutes here, you're just putting something together. I mean, your grit, your grind, that's enough. I do 2 minutes a day. He said that's enough. Hopefully you get to the point that I'm making, that there's a special respect out there, special salute to those that are putting in the work, that are grinding it out there, finding time when you've got so many things pulling you in so many different directions. When you're sharing your journey on social media, you're getting inspiration from social media. You've got individuals that don't have a standard 9-to-5. Their full-time gig is to do content. They don't have kids. They're not married. They're flexible to travel around the country and do this and do that. It's like, inspiration can come from there, but don't think that you're not at their level. You are, because your difficulties come in different forms. So it's kind of the first 7 minutes. Just want to provide some encouragement to you in your journey, that what you're putting together, even if it's small, is the equivalency of what many other call an exceptional amount of work. And just to be proud, just to be happy. As far as what's coming up on the journey, I've got a pacing of a half marathon next weekend, and then a pacing of a marathon the weekend after that. Then I have 2 or 3 weekends where I'm doing like a competitive 5K, maybe another pacing of a half marathon. But about 6 weeks, I will be having my second loose skin surgery. It kind of was a bind for me. When I got the first surgery done, the surgeon was just extremely gracious in that I had my portion that I had to come up with, and I did a GoFundMe, and so many remarkable people gave to that GoFundMe to allow it to happen, and a lot of it got billed to the insurance. And she knew that it was going to be one of 2 surgeries, so she took what the insurance gave and really did some extra work. She did some additional lipo. She did what she could do, knowing that she's going to go back in. And so knowing that going back in is going to be cosmetic, completely out of pocket, it was okay. You know, I'm going to heal, I'm going to rest, I'm going to recover, and I'm going to get ready for surgery number 2. And I thought, for some reason, I put out my GoFundMe. I thought I was going to hit that goal again by January, have it again, and then just roll right into this year. But I didn't. And I ran into a predicament to where the quote that she gave me was going to expire in June. And essentially, if I had to get requoted, it would be likely not with the special discount, because she knew that she's already done surgery 1 and that she needs to go back in for surgery number 2. And so I had to book it. So essentially I booked it, and I created a cookbook. And so now I'm really kind of at that point where, all right, I've got it scheduled, I've got it booked, I've got to have the funds by the month before, and I'm putting out a cookbook, and I'm hoping to reach it. So that's the hope. You know, I think as far as my ebook, I've sold 7, which is cool. I don't want to freak anybody out, because I'm not freaking out myself, but I've got to sell 636 copies in order for me to get to my goal. So I plan on doing a lot of recipe videos. I've been sharing as much as I can on Facebook and Twitter, and I'm just hoping for one particular video to go viral, to just really say, hey, instead of giving to the GoFundMe, that's shut down. Now, if you purchase my ebook, listen, just purchase my ebook, and that helps go towards the cause, which is which is pretty cool to get to that goal. So I'm 6 weeks out from that loose skin surgery to take care of my chest. I have a doctor's appointment actually on Thursday, and I'm going to see the doctor before the surgery so that she can see 10 months, 11 months later where everything is landed, where everything sits and settles, and to kind of give me a pre-plan on the surgery to come. So that's kind of what's new, what's happening. After that recovery, it's going to be about 6 weeks for recovery. I've got some marathons that I'm going to be pacing in the later end of the year. I've got the Mo Cowbell, which I'm going to be pacing the 4 hour and 30-minute time with. What's interesting is that I have my surgery in May. I've got June, July, August, September. So 4 months to get back into shape to run a 4 hour and 30-minute marathon. I've got to probably take 6 weeks before I can lift. And so that's going to be a non-existent thing. Not going to be able to lift. I'm not going to be able to do an elevated run pace or anything like that for quite some time. So it's really going to come down to about 2 months, which is going to be okay. 2 months to train up for that 4 hour and 30-minute marathon, which I don't think is going to be tough. I say that now, and hopefully no infections, no nothing deters my journey. But I would really love to do the St. Louis Marathon Relay that I did and set my PR in November. And I ran that marathon. I set my marathon PR 3 hours and 43 minutes on my birthday last year. And I would love, I know it's got, oh, excuse me. I know it's not going to be on my birthday again, but I would love to do that relay, do it again, and see if I can get a 3:3, like a 3:39 would be absolutely killer. And just maybe every year use that relay as kind of like, all right, what PR can I go with today? Because they say competitive marathons, you should only do 2 a year because it is quite the taxation on your body. I know that with the 4 hour and 30-minute marathon that I'm pacing for St. Louis in 2 weeks, I'm really putting my body in the position that it needs to be as far as I'm prioritizing protein. I got super greens. I'm taking my supplements. I'm doing all these things to really put myself in the best shape. And honestly, I just had a follow-up with my surgeon. I got so many doctors right now. Physician with Hone Health for my biomarker test. Such great news from that. He pretty much said that he hasn't seen blood work like this in quite some time, just with my testosterone levels to where they are. He asked me straight up, do you take supplements? And I was like, yeah, well, I take this, and I'm partnered with Legion, so I get their supplements, I take them. He goes, well, I can tell you take supplements. We have a marker that really kind of looks at the past 4 to 6 months and how you've, nutritionally, from like a nutrition standpoint, have you been taking care of your body? And you could tell that you work out. You can tell that you take supplements. And I'm like, well, I think I like you, doctor, because I haven't really heard that before on my doctor's appointments. It's been, well, got to do something about that weight. So here's a pamphlet of information on how to lose weight. And that was it. The doctor knew there was an issue, but didn't want to commit to the long-term plan of helping overcome. Like, listen, I know there's a problem, but I don't have the time to really go through what's needed for you to overcome this problem. So here's a pamphlet, and I'm hoping for the best. That's usually my doctor's appointments. Now, they're very different. In fact, what's starkly different is, like, I met with the physician. They looked at my blood work and just went through the roof with what it says. I bet when I go see my physical doctor in person, she asked me last year, are you okay with the weight that you're at? I'm like, yeah. Like, why wouldn't I be? Like, are you saying something that I'm not? And essentially, what a lot of doctors go off of is the BMI, body mass index. If your BMI is 30 or 20, like, your body mass index essentially is the indicator of whether you're obese or healthy or not. But it doesn't factor in body fat percentage. And so if I can be a certain weight, a certain height, and have muscle mass, it's not going to account for that. So say if I'm a muscular person and I'm heavier because of the muscle, it does not account for the muscle. It just says, hey, you weigh X amount and you're this height, then you're morbid, or you're obese, you're overweight. It's like, well, what if it's all muscle? And what if I have a low body fat percentage? It just doesn't factor that in. And so for me, I've always been focused on lowering my body fat percentage. I've always been someone that's had high muscle mass. These legs carrying 534 pounds for years, of course there's going to be some muscles in my legs, but it doesn't factor in muscle. So that's where it's so different, is that, I get my blood work done. Wow, looks great, through the roof, awesome. And then on the other end of it, it's seeing the doctor in person. Oh, are you happy at this weight? Listen, I'm not happy with the way you're saying that, but yeah, I'm pretty happy. Are you happy with my weight? The road ahead is going to be, really, can we just dial this back to a prior episode and what I referenced as far as, coming from experience, and I think it might have been an Instagram video instead of maybe a podcast, or maybe you've probably heard this before in a podcast episode spilling out. But as far as I am better mentally going into the second surgery because I know what to expect. And so I'm better off, I'm stronger, I'm going to be stronger mentally to get through this. And so you think about that in regards to your weight loss journey. If you're doing something for the first time, you're starting this diet, you're doing something for the first time, of course it's going to be rough. Of course it's going to be taxing. But once you go through it that first time, you got the experience now. You can learn from it, you can grow from it, be better from it, move ahead. And I think that's what happens. A lot of folks go on the journey, they lose weight, gain it back, they quit, they jump off, and they just negate everything that they went through and just kind of throw it out the window. And it's like, no, don't throw it out. Like, hey, this didn't work. Like, it's okay to be honest with yourself that it didn't work. Like, you're not a failure. How many times during 30 years where I was like, man, I'm a failure because I didn't stick to my diet, or I didn't stick to the program, and I'm a failure. It's like, of course I struggled for 30 years of going back and forth because I kept thinking I was a failure. I'd throw out everything that happened. I wouldn't learn from it, wouldn't be honest with myself and say, hey, this is what took me out. And then I'd start off from ground zero, start out from scratch, and then do it all over again. For 30 plus years, I had that problem. And so that's where, you go through it, you got to learn from it. I mean, even if you're doing it right and you continue to do it right, but then you have a setback, you got to learn from the setback. You can't just throw it out like, oh man, no, you've got to be able to really connect the dots on what didn't work. Be honest with yourself. Like, I'm going to start this. Oh, okay, I'm starting Monday. Okay. You've wanted to start, or you started on Monday, quotation marks, this is the 13th time in the past 2 years. So what's different this time? And I've said that before. What's different this time? Being honest with yourself. Well, this time I just can't. If there's a stutter, it's not going to work. If there's a stutter, it's not going to work. You've got to know what you did last time, what didn't work last time, and how you're going to pivot and how you're going to move ahead. And the sum of your success is going to be from what you learned from. Not going to be from a special moment in time. This magical moment where I lost 50 pounds because of this magical this and A, B, and C clicked into D, E, and F, and everything was the alphabet. No. Your success, long term, comes from the sums of what you learn from what you did before. And again, I've said this before on an Instagram video. It's like, listen, you're going to get so many accounts that lose 100, 150, 145 pounds. There's so many thousands, okay? It's nothing new. Nothing new. Thousands. How many of them gain it back? And from there, what happens? Do they stay gained back? Or do they go back down and lose it? Like, you've got to know that what you see, the flash and hoorah, flash, hoorah, that's not the story of long-term weight loss. It's start, learn, grow, okay? Acknowledge, get out of denial, learn, grow, stretch, wisdom, knowledge, move forward. Keep moving forward. Keep moving ahead. Just it's the recipe for success. That's how you're going to be successful. You got to learn from what took you out and keep pivoting, keep moving forward. It's where the heart of Findaway is. Just got to find a way to work it out. Find a way to learn. I'm going to put this out right now, but I got a video coming out, and I've watched that video so many times because it inspires me. And it's me talking to myself. I'm talking in the video, and I'm inspiring myself with this video. The premise is it's no one's coming for you. No one's coming for you. Said that before on this podcast episode, but really, no one's coming for you. No one owes you anything. Like anything that you have because you worked for it. And if you didn't work for what you have, then you're blessed. You got to be grateful for that. You reap what you sow. You reap what you sow. So what are you sowing that you'll reap later? The seeds that you sow in this season will be the fruit that grow in the next. So what are you sowing right now? And what are you going to reap from what you're sowing? I'm posting that tomorrow, and it just riles me up because it's like, yeah, we don't have enough time for me to go into this portion of it. Like, let's just say a part of the source of my way of thinking is because at some point in my life I absolutely lost everything, and I was living out of a garage. I was publicly shamed and I had hundreds, if not thousands of people have this premise and thought about me that was completely false, and I had to again and again defend myself on something that just simply wasn't true. And there was a moment in time for about 6 months to a year to maybe even a year and a half where I had absolutely nothing. I lived out of a garage. I slept on this iron bed. There was bugs in the garage. I remember daily opening up the garage door just to get some sunlight, and the neighbors looking like, does he live in the garage? Like, I remember downing 2 liters of Pepsi while playing Call of Duty and having 3,000 calories of Taco Bell in this little leather chair that I found from a bookstore. Like, everybody abandoned me. Everyone left. I had nobody. I had nothing. In the purest and rawest form, everybody was gone. And it was at that moment that I learned, I grew, I got stretched. But I just stopped caring so much. Like, I had such an apathy for what people think. And it's not like I don't have that feeling of I care what people think, but really, I lost a lot of care. Because when things are the roughest, who's there for you? There was nobody there for me. So, I don't know. I guess I think about my wedding party. If you were in my wedding party and you're listening to this, which I don't think is true, but I mean, maybe you could tell me something different. But everybody that was in my wedding party, I don't have regular conversations with. Like a go-to friend, I would say I talk to every 6 months. Like, I really don't have like a go-to talk on the phone every week, every day. Like, I don't really have that. And I think for me, it's maybe a subconscious, avoidance, or maybe I kind of set people up to not get close, or that I don't really have close, me, genuine relationships, that everything is really kind of like handshakes and head nods. I feel like that's a song, handshakes and head nods. And maybe that's my causing, that's my doing, because a lot of people that, I compartmentalize people. Like I put them in this place where they don't have access to me and making me feel a certain way. So I feel like I did that when I lost everything and I was at my lowest. That I put people in this room that you're there, but you don't have any access to hurt me. Like I could care less. And there are family members in there, just completely transparent. There are family members there that they're there. There's care, there's concern, there's worry, there's love there, but there's a certain level of you don't have access for me to care too much. And man, what a roller coaster that's been with my kids. Because if you have access to hurt me, I'm going to immediately want to compartmentalize you and put you in a place that you can't. And my kids are innocent and they can't. Or like they could hurt me. But I can't compartmentalize them because they're my kids. You know, my wife the same. I can't put them in this place where I don't care so that they don't hurt me. Like, that's very much been a road of growth for me, and it's a part of maybe my stress triggers where a situation happened in life, I'm stressed out, I eat. Like, yeah, those are on the surface. Those are things that we deal with, I deal with. But I think on a deeper level, there are stresses of me trying to maintain relationships in a very funky way, of me letting people in and being cordial and being around people, but not really letting anybody close enough so that you don't have the access to ever hurt me. Like if you do say hurt me or try, I'm like I can cut it off and feel fine about cutting it off. So it just leads me to that. That was like a tangent that I went on. Honestly, I don't know what I was talking about. I got so wrapped up in that process of thinking that if you remember what I was talking about, I hope it encourages you on your journey. Yeah, I got nothing. Like, I'm deep diving into myself. Like, man, yeah, that does cause me a bit of stress. And I wonder if that causes this and that. Hey, so let me deep dive into myself a little bit. We'll make another episode. How about that? Hey, I'm learning and growing too through this podcast. But thanks for tuning into this particular episode. By the ding, you know that I'm home. I will talk to y'all later.